You ready?
I was ready.
Well, hey everybody. I'm the Crockett Cooner, and this is the Crockett Coonhound Show, and this is Scooter with me, and we have made it here to YouTube. For the rest of you that have followed us elsewhere on different platforms on the internet. So we decided to make this first video here. Now I know a lot of folks are going to follow me that follow our Fireside Chat series, and we do in fact have that set up now. I'm fixing to start posting a lot of those for you guys. But for folks that are new to the Crockett Coonhound Show, we're going to tell you who we are, what we do, and everything. So the Crockett Coonhound Show is everything outdoors. Now, that could be, I've mentioned it on other places. That could be camping, fishing, hunting, fly fishing, saltwater. It could be what is the best pizza oven to cook on the back patio with. It could be what do you ladies enjoy wearing as far as like a cross trainer type of shoe to walk for your health. Just anything outdoors, and we are all about having the kids involved in the outdoors and things. We both have children, but now, Scooter, they have seen you on other videos on different platforms, but we don't get to see this guy a lot. He is kind of our camera technical guy, but I'm going to clear up some stuff for you guys here. I'm going to tell you something for everybody that's just found us. We have known each other since we were, 13? 12?
It was before that, yeah,
12, 13,
somewhere
young
in there.
children, and we're both in our 40s now. Here in a small community in Middle Tennessee. Our entire life has been outside. This is the guy that taught me how to fly fish. We both were fishing, hunting people, camping people, just about anything you could think of outdoors. I personally, in years past, sold and bred and hunted and handled Crockett's, coonhounds for people, black and tan coonhounds, and now I am into the mixed crossbred, X-bred hounds for folks that follow that and things, but I do all types of stuff outdoors. Scooter here, originally I helped a little bit years ago, did give fly fishing seminars, just all types of things, and a lot of folks ask us, why the Crockett Coonhound? Why does it have that name? Well, here in Lawrence County, Tennessee, for those of you that know David Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, he was in fact the mayor here. We have David Crockett State Park. David Crockett did have a distillery here on Shoal Creek in the 1800s and things. He's a very big political figure. Also another person who loved hunting dogs. There's many classical pictures. Went to the Alamo and then on to the White House. And then we both have experience with hunting dogs in the past. And that is how it came to get its name. For those of you that have ever wondered why it is called the Crockett Coonhound, I hope that pretty well sums it up. But Scooter, tell them some about you. You've never really talked. I've mentioned you. You've been on other videos, fly fishing and stuff. Tell them a little about you.
Yeah, well, of course, our names are kind of theater names. Obviously, your mom didn't call you Cooner.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm Mike Pilkinton, and I go by Scooter J. Trehugger. It's not Trehugger, Trehugger, so it's just a sort of, we want to have fun with this. I fly fish since 1988, and a lot of people could be very serious about the outdoors and very extreme about the outdoors. And I kind of take a little bit more comical approach to the Cooner here because the Cooner is very serious about hunting dogs and a lot of his stuff is very...
tons of folks following now that are survivalists, that are homesteaders.
Very serious.
Yeah, they're gonna can their own foods and things, and I'm like, well, as someone who grew up where they did that, if you do that wrong, it can be detrimental, folks. Yeah. You need to know how. Refurbishing cast iron to cook out on an open flame, things like that. We don't want to eat eggs with rust in them. That would not be...
Yeah, so I kind of... I take a little bit more, like, not really a voice of reason, but more like why certain people say things like, why do some dogs you got to lop their tail off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just one time I also covered. I'll say this a little bit in passing, but at one time I had my own wheatgrassing, juicing, and we had our own Excalibur food dehydrator, and we had more of a hippie life. And a lot of times, what Josh gets in skepticism happens to be from a lot of my former camp, which was a little bit more hippie type movement. So, of course, I play the Trehugger, right? And so I say a lot of the things that they would say in a way that could be less offensive to the severe, the very serious outdoors people, and kind of give you a something to laugh about a little bit. Because if you can't laugh about it, you can't accept it.
That is true.
And all that sort of thing. So I play up a lot of the opposite side of what Josh does. So he's, I always say that, while the Cooner spends all night with his hound, Scooter J spends his night on the town, and I say these little rapidy things, and because it is true. If there's some things in the woods that can hurt you really bad.
Yes.
There's some things that would kill you if they could. And there are certain times the thing that kills you is yourself, who thinks they know what the mushroom that they plucked. Oh, yeah. And then that's the last they've seen of you. Yeah. Some other hiker is like, is that a dead guy?
The last plate of spaghetti we had there. That's, yeah.
So if you don't take a little bit of a lighthearted approach and be confident, then the woods can't be fun as well.
That's right.
A lot of people, they get into this stuff because they feel like their very essence is in the woods. Their very survival has to be done, and they become a person that you don't really want to be around. So anyway, but also I do the two-handed Skagit casting and Scandi and the snake roll stuff and so don't think I'm not serious. I'm not saying that at all. But if there's one guy that's probably going to cover a lawn chair or a polywood or an Amish cedar chair, it's probably going to be this guy. You know what I mean?
We've all got to sit down in
Yeah.
our 40s. I'm just saying.
It's everything outdoors. It doesn't mean we're skydiving. It means, we're like when we talk about pizza ovens, we have an Uni Karu. We have we love Lodge. We've been to their factory there in South Pittsburgh. And we want to bring a lot of those products to you guys. Not because we just want to make a whole lot of money. Obviously, we should probably tell them that you want to tell them about the Progeny Adventure Group?
Yes, our main company is the Progeny Adventure Group, LLC. Now, I know a lot of folks have seen me here at the Crockett Coonhound, but then they've seen me at different platforms throughout the internet. Not just personal stuff, but other business platforms. In each place and website that we have has a different demographic and a different topic of the things we do, because we both were we did lots of things in life, and being how society is in 2024, just came from 2023, we try to share that with people that would be interested, like-minded thinkers. And I've learned quite a few things, even myself, that I didn't know. A lot of outdoor stuff. I've talked to a lot of people from different parts of the world, and they have shed experience with me on certain things: hunting, fishing, camping, things that they use, because camping here is a great deal different than camping somewhere like Canada or Alaska, and you wake up and there's 5 foot of snow and there's a grizzly bear, and we don't have those in Tennessee. So.
Not yet.
No, everything wants to come here. It likes it. I don't know.
Yeah, Tennessee happens to be a horizontal state, so from east to west, it does touch 7 or 8 other different states. Yes. And we got everything from coastal plains, which is where, of course, just about as low as you can get there in Memphis, where the Mississippi River runs.
Not to mention,
all the way to the mountains.
There are bull sharks in the Mississippi River. There are videos of that. We would have thought shark fishing.
Maybe we should try to catch some of those.
I would like to try it one day.
Yeah, just to see
Saw
what you
saw
can
a guy when the river was down. And I was like, that is a shark.
do. Maybe
And
put
that's
like a
fresh
10-aught
water.
hook and like a whole rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
You might catch one of those big catfish too.
I don't know. We have a lot of it. you
Yeah.
know.
So we have a lot of different things that we want to bring to you guys. Also, we bring our kids around, which a lot of people would say is probably not safe to take your kids coon hunting at night. But we're like, why? We have guns, we have lights, we have dogs. You know, what can hurt you? But plus, you can see all the night living things. Like, there's flowers that come out at night. There's fungi that comes out. There's animals that you can see during the night that you cannot see any other time. Also, we need to teach our kids that the night isn't to be feared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless the Bigfoot's real and he starts tossing rocks at your head or something.
We grew up in this lifestyle in southern middle Tennessee, and it was outdoors and hunting and fishing, so we're pretty comfortable with what we do. Definitely for anybody that follows us, if you ever don't know, err on the side of caution. You know, just if you don't know, don't eat it. You know, that's good advice. It's like, I would rather be hungry than ill. So
we want to cover also a lot of sometimes people that are, especially that come from a city. Now, I'm not picking on you.
No.
But there's nothing that I can say in my linguistics, my phonetics, my ability to put prose and poetry that makes you think like a movie or something that comes to mind. But when you feel the electricity of setting the hook on a trout and watching it disappear up the current and start jumping and doing its flips like a little freshwater tarpon, there's nothing like the sensation of joy that comes to your face when that happens. And we would like for that to happen. We love those campfire moments that you get the lodge, you get the big one out, and you're putting the eggs and the bacon and the stuff, and you pulled it off. You did everything right. You bought the tents, you bought all the equipment, and as a family, you're sitting around in like your little jammies and stuff, and you're eating. As a family, no iPads have died. You know, you forgot to bring the batteries or something. There's nothing. There's just you and your family telling stories and lapping up the food that you ate off this stuff. And to think that we were the people who brought you to that moment, that really gets us. And we would like to have more of that. So we're going to cover a lot of things some of you might already know. Yeah. But we don't know who we're talking about here. And even though it's the Crockett Coonhound, we do cover a lot of things that are not coonhound related.
Yes, don't just think because it has a dog in the name that it's just hunting dogs, because it's not. It's everything outdoors. I mean, that could even be, I've got videos on what is a good way to dig a stump out of the front yard. I've had more people go, I never thought about using a tiller to loosen the ground. And I'm like, it would save. And this is the guy that gave me the tip on that one. So
it is. You just dig around it with a tiller. I mean, let it do the digging. Don't do the shovelly bits.
Well, that's one thing about it. We have a ton of folks that want to be empowered, so to speak. They're like, you know what? I don't need to call the guy. I can do it myself. Well, when you're speaking with people who have had experience on certain things, it always helps. And even with our videos, we try to make you guys, we try to cover the points that we think you would need to hear, the things that a lot of times other people don't say. We will just say it and say, listen, this is what I would do. You could do it this way, but I'd be careful, and so on and so forth. And that could be, there's all types of things. I believe I have a video somewhere there at the house. I need to clean this one up on me chopping wood, and it's hickory because we're going to cook there on the fire pit. You guys will see it in the fireside chats and things. Well, it's like coffee. I am a coffee lover, folks. You'll see me in a ton of videos drinking it. Well, do you need the small percolator for outside or the big one? I don't know. These are things to think about if you're going to walk 4 or 5 miles to set up camp, and how many people's going with you, and all of these things. Because there's one thing about it: most, if not all, the products that you see us use, we are using them. Nobody pays us yet. We're not sponsored or anything. So if we don't like it, we'll say, well, the finish comes off of this, or, well, this let my food roll off of it into the fire, or it burns every hamburger we put on it, or,
I wonder how that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about it.
Well, the reason we can get it so readily is because we already paid for it.
Yeah.
Now, if you do, like if you're a manufacturer and you do want to send us things, be sure to look up, in the description and stuff, look up our name, and you could trace it back to get a hold of us, or just comment or send us a message or an email. We'll be sure to put that in the description, because we would like to show some people some things that are truly awesome.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It makes the outdoors that much more pleasurable. Sometimes it's just what we wear. We both wear Colonel Littleton hats. I happen to don this one. If you're ever wondering, it's a Tilly Cadet hat from Canada. It just looked like a part B of the scooter, or the Cooner's hat, to have a scooter look like this, and I wanted to look a little different. Now we'll wear a flannel or something that looks a little bit more country.
Oh, yeah.
It is a costume, as I wear Brooks Brothers shirts and, with ties, sometimes little bow ties and stuff, and other shows. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I grew up on a farm, 13 miles outside of a small town. So you can imagine how small that community was.
Golly, when we were
Out next
kids,
to
it was the sticks. I mean, they think they filmed Deliverance in that place. It was way out there.
That's true. And so the bull by the horns literally meant the bull by its horns. We had all that stuff. We had, then it went from animals to plants, from plants to fences, and from fences to other. Then it got bought out. Then there's a road going through it. Then one day I just said, you know what? I don't need this no more. I want to see more. I want to see more. There's more to life than this. So I become a musician, and I went to the cities. And then once I got older, I started missing the country again, and sitting back drinking coffee with Josh in my little bit better flannel, like the Vermont flannel and all that stuff, just to get cozy, feet up next to the fire, talking about old times, is about as good as a day can get.
Mm-hmm, yep.
You know what I mean? And we want you to have that type of experience too. So what we bring up is in the day and in the night, and I think that's sort of metaphorical about the human experience, that we do have those night stages.
Most definitely. I mean, that's part of a coon hunter thing.
Yeah.
It all happens. It's raccoons are really nocturnal animals, and we did all of it at nighttime. I would basically sleep during the day and hunt at night. So, and as I've gotten older and we do these things and so much on the internet, it's not a professional hunting anymore. I just kind of do it for pleasure and fun and to make you guys videos. But there's other things. I have a ton of folks that comment on different platforms. And I've mentioned this in other places. We have a lot of folks that would be our age that now have grandchildren, and some people that are older, and they'll say comments like, I like to camp. And I'm like, really? Cool. You camp a lot? And they're like, well, it's been about 25 years. I'm like, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Because things have changed. Sleeping on the ground's the same, but they now have these real nifty air mattresses and tents with rain flies and things that are so much better. And, it just depends. Sleeping bags, shoes and things, socks that you can wear. I mean, it's really, it is the outdoors, and the products have evolved. And that's one thing we love to do, is kind of evolve with them and try it and say, hey, this is what we've needed all along, and then tell you guys at home.
Yeah, I think one of the things that were, I guess, neat about us in our past is that, we're kind of late 70s models, so we kind of grew up. By the time we were big enough to do something, it was already like 1984 or 85.
Yes.
Which means we got things from the 50s and 60s give to us. Mm-hmm. And because they were modernizing then. And of course, once we got our own money, we modernized ourselves at that time. So when people say, well, you've never had the joy of having a whatever army tent. We're like, yeah, we do.
Well, we do.
We have had that exact same pair of boots or rubber waders or something. Everything you can think, you probably say you guys have never, whatever, we probably have.
It's much like a lot of the canning series and those things.
Yeah.
Was taught to me by relatives that were from like the Depression era that lived way out. They didn't have anything. Yeah. So it was, this is how you can this. This is how you can that. This is how you make this grow for all the folks that follow us that garden and things. And even on different platforms have seen our popcorn series. We were trying popcorn there at my home and seeing if we could grow it and pop it, and it was phenomenally good. So this year going to be more popcorn, but you know, there's lots of things like that. It also goes along, like I had mentioned, with the people who like to prep and the survival, because now I do have folks on different platforms that follow me, and as they're making videos, they're literally walking by picking stuff off the tree, eating it. You know, they're and I've said this before, they're about ready to fashion the sticks to make a whole cabin with a fireplace. We both can do that. We don't usually, but it's not so much for those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are much like us, mastery level on it. This is more for folks that are getting back into it or learning to experience more of that type of lifestyle, being outside. And that could just be that you want to do more, grilling on the patio. You know, you want to use more fresh vegetables. We have a series here coming about the pizza cooker and all that. We have a ton of folks that follow us on different platforms that they love cooking in their pizza oven. And I've got to admit, it makes great pizza.
It does, don't it?
It does.
And there's other ones besides the ones we cover. Yeah. I think there's always a question about street cred and a particular kind of valor. It's not really like a military valor, but there is something about some people that they try to say things that are kind of negative about people they think are just posers, or you don't really know if you really did this or whatever. One of the things I believe that helps us out a lot is that we happen to live in, this place in Lawrence County, Tennessee, home of the largest Amish community in the South. They're a Schwarzentruber Amish, and yes, they have no plumbing, no electricity, nothing. They have no phone, so if you bring your debit card, they're going to be like,
houses don't even have insulation. It's all wood and
we know about them, and you can't get more off-grid than that. As far as sovereign citizen, they don't even have a social security number.
No, they don't. They're do any of that.
Completely cut off from the U.S. They don't even call themselves Americans. They're Amish, and if you push them on it, they're just like, "What do you mean Tennessean? I'm an Amish person." That's it. So all this, I get mostly alt-right, kind of, and I don't want to get political. We don't get political on this show. We do talk about conservation on this show.
True.
We don't go into politics, so I'm not saying this. I'm just saying that when we live next to this Amish community, and we get a lot of things from an Amish community that's old order, we're not like, cell phone Amish or car driving Mennonite, that a lot of the things we'll cover is because of this old world method. So when it comes to canning and all of this sort of thing, our street cred is good. I'll say that. I'm not going to toot our own horn too much, but in the Progeny Adventure Group, there's mainly 3 shows that we are extremely passionate about. That's the Preemie Paradox, the Older Dad Show, and this one, the Crockett Coonhound. All of our visit shows, Visit Lawrenceburg, Visit Pulaski, Visit Wadesboro, Amish of Etheridge even, Amish of Mennonite, Kudzu Crawl, all them guys. There are kind of secondary shows a little bit. Not that we're not passionate about those industries, but this particular show we're extremely passionate about because it's us. Yeah,
it's just what we do.
It's what we do on a Saturday.
As far back as I can remember, it was us getting out of high school. You want to go fishing this evening? Yeah. I mean, it's people that were there and experienced it.
You saved my life.
Yeah.
We saved each other's life, but I stepped between 2 pieces of... we were out of school because it snowed. And we decided, what the best thing to do when you're out of school for snow? Go fly fishing. Because we heard of this place. It was supposed to have these big trout. We never even seen one. No. And I'm sure they're there.
It was a mighty cold day, though. Yeah. I know that. In water.
Step
were in
between the pieces of the table rock, where it makes the. You've been to Tennessee, you know what I'm talking about. Water pushed me over. I thought for sure I was a goner. Anyway, I look up and there's Josh, and he's like, "Mike!" So he grabs me, about picks me out of my waders.
Yes.
I'm freezing. Getting my C10 71 model truck for all. That's another thing, people talk about outdoor living, and they jump into a $70,000 thing.
Yeah.
We had to jump into. Your truck was older than mine.
Oh yeah. At one time I was a first series 55, and then had that old beat up Nova car that we went down every dirt road in this county fishing and hunting in, and that's it. We were outdoors people,
Yeah.
It was
and had a great time.
Oh, there's tons of people that I follow, and I can watch their videos. I'm just going to say this. I believe I want to say that I'm good at this, but MFK, Game Calls, those guys that call the coyotes, I've mentioned them before on different platforms. Yeah. I can watch those guys and be like, yep, they grew up doing stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Just by their movements and their actions, they don't get scared, they're listening, and I personally believe they're kind of a smaller company, but they make some really great products for people that are into the coyote, into the deal. There's a ton of folks like that with the fly rods and things. Like Thomas and Thomas. I mean, lots of stuff, very good rods and things. And for people that are true outdoorsmen and things that love a certain area, it sometimes helps to talk with other people before you go and buy like a bamboo rod that's $2,000-$3,000. Ask them, what'd you think about it? Did it wear your arm out fishing with it all day? Did you what'd you catch on that steelhead? What did you guys do? And that's what we do. Other outdoorsmen, and it seems by the demographics that a ton of you ladies follow us, and a lot of times
that's right.
That is, what are you going to buy your husbands for Christmas? They like to do this area of the outdoors. You want to know about it, and definitely leave things like that in the comment. It always helps, and we will try our best to make you guys a show about it. If we can, get in there on it, talk about it, or maybe even clear up something they're talking about. That was one I did something on turkey calls, and it was the old box calls and slate calls and all of that. So, and then of course other things that I would love to one day do. I am so wanting to see the sling bows, where it's the slingshot with the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Now those are not a legal hunting method in Tennessee, but in other states they are. I've watched those guys, and I'm just like, I want to try that so bad.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we have other things I need to tell you guys about, because it's the Crockett Coonhound Show.
Yeah, it's episode 1.
We do have the David Crockett Days here at David Crockett State Park. It's everything from people flint napping. We have a ton of folks that are Native American. The Trail of Tears went through here. I've talked with a lot of those folks. We've been to powwows and things, and they're very generally outdoor-minded people. Love it being out there, and we do too. So, quite a few things. But I love the flint napping. I've watched them make the tomahawks. There's videos of us throwing tomahawks and axes and things. So that's always fun. But is there anything else you can think we need to tell them?
Oh, there's probably a few things. Well, I was talking about street cred a second ago. Right where the Bell Route went through Lawrence County. If you move over to Giles County, it's one of the first places, or the only places, where the Bench Route, which is the people's last name, John Bench, John Bell. But anyway, the two trails crossed, and within like a week of each other. Well, you could imagine what would happen if they met. There'd be more Indians than cowboys, and then of course the Indians would have won, because they would have dragged the people off the horses, got the guns, and they would have been back in power. But they didn't. They ended up going, which we think was a travesty in America, and why we should take a people just because of their nationality, or I wouldn't say they're Americans. We were the ones that were white Europeans. Yeah. But then we take these people off to a part of our country that can barely grow anything.
Yeah. Just say there's just some land, stay there.
So, of course, with our, I guess the person we look up to, David Crockett, and I know he's been mythologized and all that stuff to kill a bear when he was only 3 and all that stuff.
These
And we'll
big,
tell
tall
some
stories.
We'll tell some funny stories on our campfire moments and stuff like that. But another thing that we kind of do is look to the Native Americans and a lot of their stories and to have the respect for the land.
Yes.
There's so many people that are coming from other parts of the country, and what used to be a farm is now a subdivided plot. And we really are killing our forests and our lands so that we can move. What John Denver said, we took the mountains down to bring in a couple more. You know what I mean? And I think we're starting to see that, and it's a huge part of us is that, not that we don't want people to come in. I'm not saying that, Tennessee stay out. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that let's rethink how we do land management. Let's look at our housing and how we do water management. It seems like everywhere we look, there needs to be a new dam or a hydro plant in order to power all of us, and all that kind of stuff, and how we live in conjunction with the living, and that's part of the food processing and deer processing and animal living off the land in harmony with nature.
Yes.
Because we'd rather something have one bad day than to be soaking up into their shoulder blades with feces at a feedlot.
Yes.
I don't want to say too much about that, but I think you know where I'm going. And I believe also our sons and daughters need to know what it's like to carve the guts out of a fish.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to say it like that, but they also need to know the difference between a ripe tomato and a not ripe tomato, and to know where the food comes from, to know what it's like to dig their hands into the earth.
That's the thing about it. Nobody really sees the process. What is our process? We get in the car.
Yeah.
We go to the store and buy the meat.
So we want to take and have a more sensible approach. Not that we're trying to get people to live off grid. We don't do that.
No.
You're surrounded by what's the price of a car in equipment with the vmix and computers and cameras and Neumann microphones and all that sort of thing. We're surrounded by technology, but it's sort of to bring you guys a type of off grid or off kilter, I guess, country way of living, and some of it is going to be kind of what we would call. Let's talk about the whiskey angle, because
that's
it's tradition, it's agriculture, it's a way of handing down a process. Sometimes even fried chicken is its own. Like we have Nashville hot chicken, which has its own peculiarities in how you cook that. And
located here in Middle Tennessee, just up the road over here in, let's see, what is that? Lynchburg is Jack Daniels. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, here in Lawrence County, we have a gentleman that has now started a distillery. It's the first legal one since David Crockett had his here in.
We come here in 1817.
Was it 1890? What year
no,
was
he was dead. Well, it was some 1820 something.
Yeah.
He
had a distillery.
Yeah, he had a distillery on the Shoal Creek. You know what I mean? And so a lot of the stuff we're going to talk about includes David Crockett.
Yes.
Native Americans. Some of our Irish heritage.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of that.
So, and that's why we're crazy, I think, sometimes. We got a lot of that sort of Irish gypsy in us, and our backgrounds of living on farms and being in the outdoors, because the enjoyment and joy of being in the outdoors, and especially what you're going to do with the coonhounds at night.
Oh, yes. You guys have seen little snippets of it on different platforms, but never a good long hunt and things.
So we have some neat opportunities, some new equipment that's going to take you guys into some scenes that it's probably rare to see, but
and quite a few interesting characters that go with us when we do all this.
That's true. We do have. We're also very friendly to the military.
Yeah.
Military history when it comes to the Civil War.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing like being on Shiloh battlefield.
That's true.
Watching them do their ceremony thing where they blast the cannon and they have the reenactments, and they have also at other places the military with the World War II stuff, and so we're very friendly in that regard as well.
Yes, I have a good have a good write up on like the paracord bracelets that Special Forces uses. All those guys, and that's a big thing about it is knowing how to survive, what you can eat, what you can't eat, all these things. Adapting to your climate and area and things. It's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, what could you do with a fire starter, a compass, and a piece of paracord?
Oh,
you can do a lot. Let me tell you.
Well, you can. Like the Cooner's really resourceful. He can become a MacGyver. I got some bubble gum, I got a quarter, and I got a little tic tac thing, and it's like, oh, I can use that on the door, and I can make the guy trip, and that's where we'll.
I have done some things that made you go,
yeah.
Why did he do that?
I'm the dunce. I'm like, I got a string. I guess I can tie myself in a. I'll be here when they get me. I can't. He gets in there and it's just like a whole different deal. But we're gonna be very friendly to Tennessee and the South when it comes to products.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like we talked about the Colonel Littleton's hats.
Yes, I love his hats. This is one of my favorite ones. I have different ones. You guys have seen them that have followed us. Mm-hmm. And I'm a hat person. He is too. There's a ton here at his place.
You have a lot of fedoras and trilbies. Yes, and fancy hats.
I love this hat. It is such a good hat.
I know.
Oh, it was worth the buy. I mean, not to mention it's versatile, but it keeps you warm. It keeps you dry.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about the top of it for people that know about hats. Some are made to shed water, some are made to hold water. I mean, it's always good to have a good hat, especially if you're in the outdoors. When you get a fire going, you can fan it with it. Just all kinds of, you can carry things. Yeah, get bugs away, get sting and bite. So.
And at Colonel Littleton's, we're going to really show a lot of his stuff. Not only is he next door in Giles County, but the bags and stuff that you get.
Oh, those are
the nice. Leather things that you can get from these different places. And of course, we want to showcase that. Lodge, is made here in Tennessee. Heritage stainless cook pans made up in Clarksville. One of my favorite manufacturers of clothing is L.C. King, up in Bristol, Tennessee. So there's a lot of things that we'd like to show because they're very workwear outdoors, like what you would get out there to get your hands dirty, you know what I mean? And a lot of horse things, where Tennessee's home of the walking horse.
Yep.
And that had to do with country gentlemen.
Yeah.
That usually come from a city, because the city's where they made their money. And of course, they'd go into the country, and they would have these horse farms and these horse things. And of course, we have a lot of that nobility type things. We love the fox hunting.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one we've got to show you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
That is really cool.
So we look country now, but we can slick up in our tweed suits and our little ties, and we go over there and we got the little flask things, and they do tally-ho, and they take off for the hounds. We're like, ah! So, there's some of we have our moments in both the, I guess, upper parts of, because that's outdoor activity and outdoor excitement too. And
and it gets to other
quail
things,
hunting and the skeet shootings and rabbits. And
we've had rabbit hounds.
Yeah.
There's a big rabbit hound guy years ago, and I mean, lots of things like that. Basset,
Yeah, they would chase rabbits, and sometimes they were good, sometimes.
I've talked on other platforms about the squirrel dogs, the mountain feist and things. That's one part of it. All dogs at one time had a purpose. Mm-hmm. A lot of folks don't know that. That could just be to sit on your lap and keep you warm. That could be to guard somewhere. That could be to pull something. It could be to hunt something. But they all had a purpose originally. The people that bred them did it for a reason. So, and that's things like that we talk about. I've actually got some blogs and things on some of the newer breeds that they're coming up with, like half hound, half pit bull dog, labradoodles. I would love to know how they do as far as like for the guys that like to duck hunt and things like that. How do the labradoodles do, because they're both a bird dog lineage. So I'd love to know about that. Now that's one thing I haven't experienced yet, but I guarantee you some of you guys probably have, and we would definitely want you to comment that down there at the bottom and tell us, because we would like to see them.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything outdoors. So
I don't know what else to say. I guess if you guys think of anything, but that's kind of where we're at. We would like to, if anything else, entertain you. But what we'd love to do is encourage you to try to pick it up in your own area.
Yes.
Everywhere across the U.S., you can go outside and at least get into trail walking. Everywhere has a park that you can go on. And if you're worried about it, then watch us when we talk about concealed carry.
That's right.
Also, a lot of stuff like we called it Crockett Coonhound. And Crockett, yes, I know was a man. But there's a lot of, like what Josh said, was a lot of ladies. Yeah. I have a daughter, you know what I mean? And I talk a lot about ladies getting into the outdoors. And I'm fine. We're fine with that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Anybody, if you're coming here from another country and you're like, those little snaky bits, it's like, oh, the triangle head ones? Now, you need to watch about those. Yes. And, of course,
I have a ton of folks that have spoke with me before. I love Abu Garcia reels, for those of you that fish. And when you talk about some of them that are made abroad, you know, and things, there's a ton of folks that like those. I mean, you know, a lot of folks fish elsewhere in the world for different species, hunt for different things. I love talking to those folks. You know, definitely if you guys see it, comment down there too, because that's, you know, that's it. It's just everything outdoors. You know, we try to encourage that type of lifestyle for people and help them out with it if they're new to it. So
so it's going to be interesting. I hope to go to places like Adams, Tennessee, where the Bell Witch is said to go, and there's some places that are said to be haunted. We do play up a bit about other mythologies because Daniel, Boone and David Crockett were kind of mythologized.
Yeah.
So we're going to go, and of course, a lot of those have an inside story, you know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of those are based out of Tennessee. So we hope to try to catch some of those kind of stories because they're interesting. They have to do with the state and other parts of the country also have a similar motif. So we hope to encourage you guys to get outside and to your own local places and all that sort of thing. Now, if you do decide Tennessee's awesome, the way you guys said it, you want to visit here or something and had some interesting places.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we have our other shows, you know what I mean? Go back to the Progeny-adventure-group.com where there'll be a whole list of places. Now, of course, that website's primarily geared towards how we get money. I guess we should probably be completely transparent. The short answer is courses.
Yes.
We're going to have a lot of courses where, unfortunately, people are going to have to buy certain type of knowledge. And it's because it takes hours to make minutes. And we are going to make courses on how to do certain things. Yep. And that's only because we got to make our bills pay.
Yeah. I mean,
we've spent 3 years building the websites and making the live show and all that sort of thing happen. So we have a really good way of getting in front of people. So if you are Lodge, if you are Heritage Cookware, LC King, you know what I mean, Abu Garcia, all these guys that would like to get in front of that traffic, well, then you can get into one of our sponsorship programs, of course, if you're here on YouTube. If you want to get on our website, we're going to have levels of how to get an inline placed ad. So the ad network, like Ezoic, Mediavine, AdThrive. Well, I guess AdThrive's Raptive now. And when you're in line with our traffic, and of course this is a highly moderate. Not everybody gets in. This is a very highly moderated company set that's going to get into be able to pay for this inline advertisement. What I mean by inline is it doesn't get to be X'd out. You have to literally scroll past it, which means it's not going to pop up and ruin the experience with the website.
Nothing worse than going to a page right in your face and you're trying to close it or just exit out.
And we have to use a lot of those, don't get me wrong, because they do pay the bills a lot of times because you do get paid every 30 seconds that somebody's in the viewport and all that sort of thing. And, of course, if people don't come on. Now, the more people that do show some early adoption, we might not need to, and especially if we make it very, very good for people to come on and start advertising with us. What we're going to try to do is not go up. Like if we go from, say, 50,000 to 100,000 viewers, I'm not going to double the price because we got double them. We're basically going to third it or a quarter it. You know what I mean? So that it's going to take 300,000 or 400,000 views a month for you to get to an amount that is going to be kind of high. But by then, you've already got a funnel that would make you a sizable amount of money.
Yeah.
So it would be a no-brainer. So we're going to try to protect those that are early adopters to our advertising thing, because we're new at this. We're not new to business, obviously. And stuff like that. We're new to this channel being on here. So, but we are going to have a few different levels. So if you go to the Crockett Coonhound and you do go to the advertiser's contact page, we will get a hold of you and you can see some of our stuff as far as how we make money. But it will be affiliate based and it will be advertising based underneath our courses, first and foremost, because we want to teach you guys directly. So we want as many viewers as we can possibly get in the system, because the course is you learn directly from me and Josh.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Well, I should say, the Cooner and Scooter J or whatever, if you want to take our stage names. But that's how we get money. So if you're an advertiser and you got people who are wanting to get as many people on their system and their page as possible, because we want to sell them our courses. So the more people we get, the more percentage that is, as far as conversions to our course page. The advertising and affiliate is just, it's kind of like the pennies section. Like if I say $1.23, the dollar is basically the courses. The 23 cents is divided up between the advertising and the affiliate. Yep. So naturally, we're going to try to do more with the courses, because that's where we want to teach you guys to be really as good as you can be. For you guys that are advertisers going, well, how do I get my pan in front of those people so they can be on that? Well, okay, you have to pay us for the ability to put us in front of those people. And you have to meet our criteria for getting in there.
We don't need anything. I mean, we don't need makeup ads on an outdoor channel unless it's camouflage makeup,
It could be like a skin care.
Maybe for some.
Some of the ladies and stuff might have a particular type, something that makes their hands shout. What I'm saying is, even if we do see something that you might want to just inquire about, go ahead and inquire. You know what I mean? Look in the description of this video and all that sort of thing, and we can go from there.